Good morning and welcome to Coffee and Tequila, a pop culture morning podcast / show. And we have my, not my guest, my co-host.
Well, your guest? I guess
Yes.
I'm the guest today.
Zachary Garcia. I am Alastair Patton.
Yeah.
And if this is your first time listening to us, well, good luck.
This is a pop culture weekday morning show where we talk about anything and everything, something to do tying to pop culture events.
Events / entertainment, I would say.
Yeah, and we're hoping you're having a good Tuesday morning.
Yes.
Today's Tuesday, June 22nd. And yeah, how are you doing, baby?
I am doing well. I don't know. Just really looking forward to the day ahead of us and hoping that everybody's having a good day, and really just thinking about everything that we're going to cover. I mean, that's really what's on my mind.
I don't know if we have a whole lot of banter. We'll probably do banter interspersed into wherever we're going to do. But we have so we have a very big topic covering for today.
So and I'm going to say this.
Okay.
I would say the theme of this show is the rich and the famous. So, because we only really have two things that we're going to be talking about today. And if you don't mind me saying, they are, we're talking about the new Gossip Girl show that's coming to HBO Max. And then we will be talking about the Keeping Up with the Kardashians finale reunion.
There's like a 2-part reunion special, basically, because Keeping Up with the Kardashians ended after 20 years. And I think... I personally have not kept up with the Kardashians in a while.
Yes.
And I'm not trying to be like, oh, I'm so different and stuff like that. Because I was a big fan of the Kardashians for a long time. I have not kept up with the show for a while, but it is very hard not to see what is going on in their lives.
It's kind of like the Grey's Anatomy of reality shows.
Well, yeah, because they really are pop culture. The Kardashians are pop culture and have contributed so much to the way the pop culture landscape and the way we view celebrities is today. So it's hard not to even know what is going on with the Kardashians. It's hard to not keep up with the Kardashians, even if you're not watching the show. You know, even if you're not following them on any social medias or anything like that. Like, it's hard not to know what's going on with them. And their show, Keeping Up with the Kardashians, really is... It was one of those pioneer shows for reality television, so... It ended, and I feel like it's fair to kind of talk about them. I didn't want to watch the whole season.
It is fair, but it's also spoilery at this point. Where, like, we have to, like...
Do we need to give a spoiler?
Yes,
I don't think everybody cares about... Okay, we're going to give a spoiler.
We need to give a spoiler. Okay. But why don't we cover...
You want to start with
XOXO Gossip Girl first, because I feel like that's going to be a little lighter conversation.
Yeah.
So they're doing a reboot like they've been doing of most shows for Gossip Girl. Mm-hmm. And I don't know about you, but I really loved Gossip Girl for the first 3 seasons.
I was not a Gossip Girl fan, I have to admit.
I liked it a lot because it came off of... It's the same creator who did the OC, who did Gossip Girl, and I loved the OC, and then I loved Gossip Girl a lot. I'm not sure if he is attached to this project, but really...
not doing your research, baby.
I know. But really, they're taking the bones of the Gossip Girl that we know and love and creating a new Gossip Girl that kind of fits within our... modern society.
Well, we just watched the trailer too, and Gossip Girl is, I guess, an Instagram account now.
Yes,
so Gossip Girl.
So. It's not texting everybody anymore, which I think that makes sense. I would think Gossip Girl would be more of a Twitter account.
Well, you know now. It would be.
A Twitter account.
That's true. Instagram is dying, guys. Instagram is not as fun as Twitter.
Yeah.
But so when Pretty Little Liars comes back, inevitably it's gonna be. Is going to be an Instagram account or a Twitter
It'll be TikTok.
Account. It's going to TikTok account. It's going to be something like that. It's all these little shows getting brought back, but
I will say the trailer looked really, really good. It looked like Gossip Girl, but gay.
Are any of these older Gossip Girl stars on it? You know?
No, but there is a video.
Oh, really?
There's a
Blake Lively's not going to be on it.
It's a reboot, not a From what I've seen, I might be
A
wrong.
reboot doesn't mean that the other characters can't be on it.
Okay, Zachary. A reboot means that you're rebooting the whole thing. If you are continuing it on, then it's like it's a sequel. It's a continuation of the show.
Okay.
And from what I know, it's a reboot. And that might be wrong. I don't know. But Leighton Meester did a reaction to the trailer.
Oh, did she?
Yes, I want us to watch it.
That's a good one. I like her.
Yeah.
See, we need Blake Lively on this. Like, why is Blake Lively not in this show? I don't understand that.
I think we can all agree that Leighton Meester was the true star of the show.
Go piss girl.
Blair. And the Blair that I see, I think played by Jordan Alexander in the show is going to be called Julian Calloway. Seems like a pretty good Blair. But not called Blair.
Another spoiler. Who was Gossip Girl at the end of it? I know the characters and I know all of the actors.
Spoiler
and
alert,
stuff like
it was Dan Humphrey.
It was a guy.
It was the guy who showed up to the school because he had a scholarship and all that stuff, and everybody looked out to him because his parents were only slightly rich.
Okay, fair enough.
So he was a Gossip Girl.
So Blake Lively is not Gossip Girl.
No, but the person who kind of plays Jan Humphrey is Whitney Peak, also known as Zoya Lott, and is the person who's kind of introduced to the group. So I wonder if she is Gossip Girl on Instagram.
Well, they're going to do something.
And whether she's going to update and get a Twitter. Or a TikTok.
That's interesting. I don't know. I never got into the show. I could never get into it. I liked when all of my favorite people were on it, so I really liked Taylor Momsen, and I would watch hers. She is now in a band called The Pretty Reckless, and she's a fucking badass, like, rock star now.
Or Michelle Trachtenberg.
Michelle Trachtenberg, when Michelle Trachtenberg was in it, who played Dawn.
And she was so good. I really loved her in the show. Yeah. And I'm hoping that it has kind of that same vibe as it did before, because it kind of lived off of a vibe. It lived off of a vibe more than it lived off of a plot, because it had like several really interesting plot points in the first couple seasons. But once those came to a close, like everything else dried up super fast.
Yeah.
And I think that's the hardest thing, is keeping something like this going and keeping the plot interesting over time.
Even just getting it off the ground, I feel like it's pretty soon after the show ended that they're bringing it back. What year did the show end? While you're looking that up, I remember when the show was first like touted and like brought out before an audience, and I remember seeing like the adverts, and the show was like showing these teenagers as like really sexy and doing drugs and like going really hardcore, and it was supposed to be like all of the taglines on the posters were like things that, you know, your parents don't want you to see and stuff like that. So I wonder if they're going to go that hard with it this time.
So it started in 2007 and ended in 2013. 2012, sorry.
I
right before
like
2013.
That's like super soon to be bringing it back.
Yeah, you feel that way because that's like the year we graduated from
maybe
high school.
Maybe I didn't get to go to a rich, wealthy NYC high school.
And it's still really well rated. I see on here Rotten Tomatoes 84%.
Yeah.
TV.com 8.5. It's well rated, and I think that, you know, they had a really good cast and actors and stuff. But this new cast is much more diverse.
Yeah.
Expected. Much more gay. And one thing that I got from at Film Updates on Twitter is HBO Max's #Gossip Girl will avoid glorifying its characters' wealth and lifestyles, according to the showrunner Josh Safran. Josh Safran. These kids wrestle with their privilege in a way the original didn't. In light of Black Lives Matter, in light of Occupy Wall Street, things have shifted. And I think that's an interesting way to approach it. But I also, the point of Gossip Girl is you have these,
they were leaning
incredibly
really
rich
heavily to the wealth, because the wealth was separating them from your average teenager and was also elevating them to like more of an adult status, where they were doing more adult things, going out and like having more adult experiences, because nobody was there to keep them in check. And it was really showing the spiral of
It was kind of showing the bad side of being super wealthy.
Yeah,
you know.
I mean, like when you take that out, what are you gonna do? I hope it's not going. You know what? Actually, I don't give a shit how this show turns out because I probably won't watch it. I'll probably watch it if you have it on.
Let's watch a pilot or something.
If you have it on, I'll watch it. But like, if is it gonna be a bunch of like woke? Like I don't know. The original show was I think so notable is because of how problematic it probably was.
Yes,
in terms of
because
wealth.
That and other topics because they use those topics to push the storylines, and like you can't have shows with completely unproblematic characters, otherwise you have.
And that's where we're like
very boring shows.
Okay, so we are in content heading towards a landscape of like I mean like we talk about all the time the pendulum's going, and we're heading towards an area in content and media and entertainment where everybody's so scared of being problematic that they don't want to have problematic characters or anything unless they're like to the extreme that you know they're a villain.
It's a very black and white
all of the
scenario.
Nuance out of all of these situations, these characters, these plot lines. And I don't like it. It's I wonder how this show's going to turn out if they end up going in that direction.
Except for the morning show. The morning show does really good.
Extremely problematic. We're gonna be
so
super
good.
problematic on this show. Yeah.
Well, no,
that morning show.
The morning show,
the real morning show.
Which the second season is coming out in September. I'm so excited about it.
Have you all seen the morning show? That's a really good.
It's
one too.
such a good one.
That on here.
Let's cover the second season. It's coming
Not
out in September.
A lot of people have Apple TV though, so like,
not a lot of people have it, but it is available for a lot of people. And if you have a recent iPhone, you most likely have access to it.
Okay.
But okay, so that was all I really wanted to talk about Gossip Girl.
So without further ado,
let's get to the real Gossip Girl.
Okay, so keeping up with the Kardashians, I did not expect to like this 2-part reunion special as much as I did.
Yeah.
I think most of like what they did, I don't think they. Okay, so this is what I meant earlier. Is like when you. Even if you're not trying to keep up with the Kardashians, you probably are just because they're in the news so often that when they were explaining certain situations that they're going through right now in life, I knew what those were. You
knew what they were talking about?
Even though I wasn't watching the show. But all of the callback stuff that they were talking about, like Khloe's marriage to Lamar and, her Kim's marriage to Kris Humphries and stuff like that. I remembered all of that because I watched it at that time.
Well,
So it was like a whole reunion show that I didn't expect to like as much, but I did because I knew everything that they were putting on the table. It felt relevant to me.
Because we were either going to watch another episode of Love Victor or watch this.
We will. We just felt like a little trash.
Yeah. Well, no, not even trash. I hesitate to call that trash because, like, I don't know. I just think it's, I don't know if
what
it's
did you think
inappropriate or whatever.
Overall? What were your impressions of this reunion?
I liked it, and I think that they were honest because I mean, this is.
Do you?
They're ending a phase of their life.
I don't think so.
I think that they were honest but very like political in their answers. You know,
ding, ding,
ding. Because like it in a lot of ways they were just like, whenever the answers were personal to them and didn't affect anybody else, they would be very honest. But whenever the answers also involved other people
about somebody else, maybe,
whenever they like, how do you feel about your sisters? Like being like this, they'd be like, actually, we're all really, really close. Blah blah blah.
I think we
like
all
that.
sing.
Yeah,
it's very much what
and that's how it felt like. It felt like they just didn't want to put down the rest of their family members while they're doing this. But that doesn't mean that they didn't give each other looks while it was happening.
Each other looks throughout the entire.
Yes, especially Kourtney. Kourtney was giving looks no other.
One of the most sad parts about it, I think, is like it does feel like this was a family that were connected to fame in ways. Their father was Robert Kardashian, who covered the O.J. Simpson trial. He was like one of the lawyers on the O.J. Simpson trial, and so.
Did that come?
Are you okay?
I'll just quick a minute.
Don't do that. He was one of the lawyers on the O.J. Simpson trial, and and so people knew his family because of that. And then Kim Kardashian has this sex tape, and she dates Brandy's brother Ray J, and people know her because of that, and that she's like gallivanting around with like Paris Hilton, and she's like Paris Hilton's like assistant, and like people knew them, but didn't know them until the show. And so when the show starts, they're not these mega famous people. And I remember watching
They're
the
on
show.
the periphery.
I remember watching the show when it came on E for the first time, and like it was just
It was entertaining.
good entertainment.
Yeah.
It was good entertainment. And then
Because it was before they put their guards up, I feel like.
they catapult to levels of fame that are just like insane. It is insane how
They have billionaires in the
famous-
family. Everybody's worth like millions of dollars.
It is insane how famous this family is. This family is like if we had
The reality royalty.
if we had families that were like royalty in this
Yeah.
country, this family would be one of those.
They are reality royalty. Like
Yes.
they ruled the
So when they started the show,
monarchy.
when they started the show, baby, we really got a sense of how close they were, right? And what was sad to me to watch this is that it does seem like they're very disjointed and disconnected, and that there's this kind of it felt to me like there was a lot of bad blood. And kind of a little bit of hostility floating around the set as they were doing this reunion show, even though they weren't attacking each other on camera. And like they didn't argue with each other, but it seemed like, especially Kim and Kourtney were sitting right next to each other. Kim would not look at Kourtney the entire time Kourtney would be speaking. It just
That we saw.
It seemed like their family dynamics are like shifting a little bit.
I think especially with Kourtney, because they asked everybody who's a person who's most ready for this to be over, and it was Kourtney.
Mm-hmm.
And they were like, Kris was like, Kim said, the 20th season, that's such a good number to end, this era for us.
Yeah.
And I thought that was funny because Ellen DeGeneres said that 19 was a good number.
It is
but whatever.
not 20. It would bug me to no fucking end if I had to end my show at 19 and not 20. It's like,
But I like going through it, and I really found Kim, honestly, overall from the rest of the family to be the most refreshing person who talked, just because like she is looking back at herself and is being pretty open about like who she was in a way that I haven't seen her be before, where she was like, yes, I wanted to be famous. I used to like, I knew where the paparazzi were, and I would go and like be over there, and I'd go like order things when I didn't need anything just to get photographed. And I was chasing that fame, and I didn't really understand what I was chasing. And yes, I was somebody who super valued like things in life. I wanted the best of everything. I wanted the best dresses. I wanted the best vehicles. I wanted everything just to be perfect. And I liked that she said that. That it felt very honest to me that she said that.
well, yeah. I've always really liked Khloe.
Oh yeah.
In that family, I always thought Khloe was the one that was the most real, and I was super excited. Not even excited. I was super interested, I think, to hear some of the things that were going to be asked, or some of the questions that were going to be thrown her way, and how she was going to respond to those. Because I'd seen some of them in the headlines, and Andy Cohen, did a pretty good job asking her questions. Like, one of the big ones was about her insecurities and how she felt pitted up against, her sisters, and, the way, because Khloe Kardashian looked different.
Yeah.
Like when that show started, she looked different than the other two. She was the clear outlier.
Well, not only that, she looked very like, not saying that Kourtney or Kim were, what physically at the time was. Paris Hilton was more like what physically at the time was like in, whereas Kim and Kourtney were more different, but different in like almost an exotic way. Whereas Kourtney, like, Khloe, people would call her like fugly and stuff like that.
She even said it is like the blogs and everything at the time, the Perez Hiltons and everybody, like Perez Hilton is a fucking scumbag of a human being, such like low life scum, piece of shit on your shoe. and he still is to this day. We're not going to no defense of him. And he had a huge hand in probably some of the insecurities that she felt. So when she said, one of the things I found really interesting was that when she started the show, she said that she didn't have any insecurities. She was pretty secure, and she was just living her life and having fun. And as they got
making fun of Kim and doing all that stuff.
That was her big answer all the time. It was like, me and Kourtney just loved making fun of Kim.
Which I did in the first couple seasons.
Super interesting that we should touch on a little bit later is how Kim and Khloe are a lot closer now, and it used to be Kourtney and Khloe. But like Khloe said that she was really comfortable in her own skin at the time, and then as they started to have more eyes on them, she became more and more insecure because she was being... Some of those differences between her and her sisters were being like highlighted and pointed at, and she was seeing things for the first time. And I completely related to that. So I can relate to... I have a very minuscule amount of eyes on me compared to like Khloe fucking Kardashian. But when I started YouTube, I was pretty damn confident in myself. Like I had a lot of confidence. And then you start reading stuff about yourself and seeing what people are commenting and pointing out about you, and it develops like, I never knew that my head was a little bit smaller than like...
You have a lot of weird quirks that you bring up because of that.
Can we not like I don't know what the word would be, but like I don't want you sitting here saying, well, that's not true and stuff like that, because then you're like, you're not acknowledging what I'm saying.
No. I am acknowledging it. I'm saying that you have a lot of quirks because of the feedback you've been getting through the channel, like over the years.
Well, yeah. And so like one of the big things when I started YouTube was that I had a small head, and I would see a lot of people saying stuff like that. And I'd never thought about it. It never even crossed my mind. Anytime I ever looked in the mirror at myself, I never saw that. And then after I would see people say stuff like that, and this also carries over to like other things, like, you know, anything else of insecurities that I've developed over this time is that's all I would see. And so like that's a big insecurity that I have now that I didn't have before. And so I completely understand what she's saying. And she said that throughout the show, like in the beginning, she had a lot of confidence. And then the show started, she was a little bit insecure. Then in the middle, she was more secure again.
Well, it was like secure, insecure, and starting to get secure.
Secure in the middle of the show, and then now she's at a place of insecurity again. And she did say that. She said like currently that she is a little bit more insecure now again. And I loved that. I thought that was refreshing because I didn't think that she was going to be that honest, because she does seem like a different Khloe Kardashian now. And like obviously she being in her 30s, she's going to be different than when she was like 21 or something like that, right? But I didn't think she was going to go there with answers like that, because you know, she was the Kardashian that looked different, and everybody said her dad was different, and it was always really sad to see, and like how people would make fun of her, and she was always the butt of all of the jokes because of how she looked different and her body type. And you look at her, and she wasn't morbidly obese. She wasn't like she had a normal body type.
Yes,
and what most girls have, most like guys and girls have, and like.
It made her feel really insecure.
It did,
and I can definitely tell that. And she talks about like the fact that they would go to photo shoots, her, Kourtney, and Kim, and Kourtney and Kim would have a huge wardrobe to pick from, whereas a stylist would give her like 2 or 3 options
and tell her
that it didn't matter because she'd have to stand in the back because she couldn't be up front with her siblings, and that was like Like she was being upfront about it. She was saying, yes, I was treated badly, and it's a fact that my sisters, because how they looked compared to how I looked.
Yeah, and you know, it's a real big like 50-50 on the fence, push-pull type of thing, because I have a tremendous sympathy for her, and that she probably didn't expect all of that, and it was kind of thrust upon her and stuff like that. And then on the flip side, I think, well, this family played into a lot of the insecurities that most women have today. You know, they have put over they said how many years have they been on the air? 14 years, they said. Over these 14 years they have put
20
so
seasons.
much emphasis on looks and pushed that out into our society as we know it today, that they have a huge role in insecurities that girls have.
Well,
Like I wholeheartedly believe that. I think they have that was a fire that was already started. That was probably started by patriarchy. It was already a fire that was started, but they are responsible over the past 14 years for pouring a huge amount of gasoline on that fire.
Yeah, and I do think that's also like a complicated conversation because like
It is.
Andy Cohen asked the question, "Hey, do you guys think that you've created an unrealistic body standard for women or beauty standard for women?" And they're like, "No, we got up, we put in the work to get the bodies you have," which I don't doubt that they do. I don't doubt that they do, but at the same time, they have the money and resources to be able to hire people to help them do this. You still have to put in the work to get the bodies you have. You you definitely have to do that, but at the same time,
They can hire people to come and take their children while they spend however much time working out. And
Exactly.
Like, they can hire a chef to make sure that they're eating. One of the biggest
and it's their
problems-
job.
Yeah. So-
Let's be realistic.
Yeah.
Like their job, a significant part of their job is
Yeah.
to look good.
Well, and also like when like one of the biggest parts of like trying to get in shape and that we're facing is a diet. We don't want to cook healthy meals for ourselves all the time. It's a lot easier just to go to the Whataburger down the street. Instead of like cooking healthy meals and stuff like that. It's just like at the end of the day and after you're tired and stuff like that, you don't want to do all that, but they have chefs to do that for them. They have chefs to organize their little pantries and make their little clear cereal boxes and shit like that. Like like they have a huge advantage, and this was one of the things I was actually disappointed to see, is that they didn't really acknowledge their advantages in life as much as I was hoping they were going to. I didn't even know that question was going to be asked.
It was asked multiple times towards many of them in different ways.
And when it was asked, because it wasn't even a question I was thinking to ask them. I was thinking about the marriages and all of that stuff, but then like the social advantage or the economic advantages that they came into the world with, they were asked questions about that, and I was a little bit disappointed in the answers that they put forth with that, because there's nothing wrong with, they did not choose to be born into that lifestyle. They took advantage of everything they had, and good on them, I am not a hater. I'm not going to hate on how they got to where they are. Kylie Jenner, you got to be a billionaire because you took the advantage.
Same thing.
Yeah, Kylie and Kendall were born into this whole thing, and they were reality stars at such a young age that it is not fair to expect them not to take all of the advantages that came along with that, and they did, and Kendall or Kylie became a billionaire out of it, and Kim became a billionaire out of all of the advantages but like acknowledge your advantages as well,
and Kendall became the highest paid, she is the highest paid supermodel, and the thing about that is he asked her the question of like, he's like, how is it being the highest paid supermodel at this time? And then he asked her the real question, which was like, do you think that because of your family and because of how famous you are, that you're in this place? And I was a little disappointed with her answer, because I don't doubt that you work for what you have. I don't doubt that she did.
They work hard. That family works hard. Very hard.
It is a nuanced thing to ask, because I'm sure that she had to, definitely step aside people who were just like looking down on her for being a reality star in order to be like a model in a high fashion, world. But at the same time, she does get many benefits from that exposure,
the fact that
and that's one of the reasons why people will pay for her.
Is because of who her family was and stuff like that.
Well,
it did come from that, because one of her, some of her answers were that she was like going into auditions in the middle of nowhere and stuff like that. And it's like, come on, Kendall, really? Like, but where I think it comes from is a little. I think that especially Kendall and Kylie, I think they're a little bit more embarrassed maybe of their advantages.
Or maybe don't recognize them as much.
Maybe they don't recognize them. That could very much be it. It's either that,
because that's how they've lived.
very, very good point.
Yeah.
It could be that they just don't recognize it. Because I was thinking that it was maybe they were embarrassed by it, and it could be a combination of the both as well. I would have liked a little bit more acknowledgement on that, especially if the question was being asked. Another question that I really wanted answered really a lot better than how it was Kris Jenner. So they asked, or they brought up the fact that everybody says the devil works hard, but Kris Jenner works harder, and she kind of brushed it off, and she was kind of no, I just do what needs to be done or whatever like that. Listen, I wish she would have owned that shit, because Kris Jenner, none of these girls, none of the boys, none of any of them connected with this would be where they are today without Kris Jenner and her genius management skills and any of it. She has put all of her time and effort, and she's managed other people outside of the family, but she has put all of her time and energy into this family, and they are all successful because of her. All of it because of her.
The one question I found,
Yeah,
and I understand it wasn't from Andy Cohen, but somebody else who submitted the question.
Yeah.
That I found unfair was do you feel guilty for taking 10% of everybody's paycheck?
No fucking way.
I was like, what?
No fucking way.
They would have no paycheck.
Exactly. Who the hell even asks that?
Exactly.
You better be damn sure I'm gonna take all 10 of my kids 10%. It's just she literally did the shit. So in Caitlyn Jenner's book, one of the things that she was saying was that Kris Kardashian Kris Jenner at the time was super controlling, blah, 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 blah. And then Kris came out and said, after Caitlyn's book was released, hey, that's not fair. You're saying all this stuff about me, but I had to use your name and because we didn't have any money, I had to go get you speaking engagements. I had to go get you this job, this job, this job. I was managing you, because I would have to take that money and pay the mortgage. I would take that money and pay the school fees. I would take that money and pay, I was keeping this family afloat. And that is exactly who Kris Jenner fucking was. Kris Jenner is a hustler through and through, and I just want her to get that credit. She deserves that fucking credit.
Guess what? 20 years from now, there's going to be a biopic.
Listen, who all didn't want a Kris Jenner as their mother, huh? My mother didn't make me a superstar.
Your mom was watching this what?
You didn't make me a superstar. That Corn Pops commercial that you didn't take me to could have been everything for me. Could have been all of it.
But I really like Kris Jenner, and
Yeah,
I found her really funny in this interview, because she was very almost she was playing tennis, trying to catch balls and stuff. When he
I know which one you're talking about, dude. What was the question?
What? Oh, I'm trying to remember the question.
It was.
But
do you think that when you lost weight that your family respected you more or something like that? And
yes.
She said respected her more. How? What do you mean by that? She
tried to intercede so much,
and then he had to reword his whole fucking question because she was not about to have it there.
Yes,
she was no fucking way.
She was not, and because one of the other questions was do you think that whoever's making more money gets more attention from mom, or and I think that question is a twofold where. Mm-hmm. Yes, if you're probably working on a project, you're probably spending more time with her, right?
Yeah.
But also, if you're making more money, you're probably gonna get more money and get more time.
Well, absolutely. Poosh. How much time has Kris Jenner spent on Poosh? Sploosh?
Well,
Splash, whatever the fuck it's called.
The thing is, Poosh is a lifestyle brand, and Kourtney talked about this. He asked Kourtney about what she was passionate about. She said Poosh,
Mm-hmm.
My lifestyle, but her lifestyle isn't for the normal people.
It's very Gwyneth Paltrow, and
it is.
And again, we got to acknowledge that these girls were born into this. They were born into Bel Air. They don't know a lifestyle like we know. They don't know regular blue collar workers,
It's for the people who have the privilege of saying, you know what, if I want to, I'm gonna pull my kids out of school and just watch movies the entire day.
Yeah.
Whereas most people can't just do that.
Mm-hmm.
And I would love for us to be able to do that.
Yeah.
And that's
Oh God, I aspire
That-
to have Kim Kardashian money and
Oh, yeah.
and Kylie Jenner money. Of course I do. I think anybody
we're
stupid. if
we're
they
about
don't
to start a
say
lip
that.
kit thing. It'll be great. Look at his lips. This will be our first shade. Yes, Zachary.
Yeah, I don't know. I think it was a really interesting reunion. I think. What was another little piece of it? They brought Scott out at one point and asked him a couple questions, and then he just kind of sat awkwardly for the rest of the show.
Yeah,
they could have let him
died-
go back off stage for a second.
Well,
then at the end-
he's been such a big part of the show.
he has,
though.
but a lot of them have.
And
and
he's
so
almost
it's-
been a centering figure for them, kind of like
yeah.
like calling them out for like
He's kind of
being
like the
above
Spike,
and beyond, you
the
know.
Spike character in Buffy.
Yeah,
He's
well,
the
I mean, he
foil.
definitely dyed his hair bleach blonde. So
This whole thing was a damn ad for the damn tequila from not even the very first fucking.
They were trying to
minute
take
past,
shots from the beginning.
and they were talking about tequila, and I'm already like, I already know it. Kendall Jenner showed up on set with her tequila. She like 818 tequila, and they're all like, tequila shots, guys. Who wants tequila?
And Kim was like, "Oh my gosh, I'm gonna take a tequila shot."
I didn't actually see her take one, but
Because she
while
don't drink. She don't
at
drink.
the end, while they were all taking tequila shots, Scott was sitting awkwardly, just like he was. They were all grouped together taking a tequila shot and laughing, and he was like awkwardly sitting over by the couches, just kind of just there. It was just so weird. They should have just like had him go back off stage before that, but
I don't know. I enjoyed it for the most part, and
Yeah.
I do want to at some point before I die keep up with the Kardashians, like finish it up.
listen, none
Because
of them. It was. I was a little emotional.
It's
Not
never boring.
I wasn't
It's
gonna
always
cry
fun.
or anything, but I was a little bit emotional just because I'm a nostalgia freak. I always have a nostalgia boner for everything, and I was just like, well, this is the end, you know. I remember when I was a kid and this show started, and it's just the end. But none of them were emotional because let's all remember that they have
A
already
Hulu deal.
inked a show for
Yes.
Keeping Up with the Kardashians on Hulu. Basically, is what it is.
And I kind of feel bad for E because, you know,
He's dying out.
they were like
They
the big
were E.
they were the big money maker on E. They were. I remember I used to watch E back when I moved to the US.
Yeah.
Which was like what 2008, and they would have like Chelsea Lately, which was a huge thing, and I loved Chelsea Handler and Chelsea Lately. I loved it. And they'd have like the soup with Joel McHale. This is not the soup. And they'd have like the Kardashians. Oh, and Dr. 90210. I really
I did like Dr. 902.
I like
liked to
Dr.
watch them,
90210.
but They did ask a lot about their plastic surgeries, or they didn't ask a lot about their plastic
what,
surgeries, but it was brought up and discussed. It was brought up in the discussion.
Well, he asked her about her face, and
Especially with
she was like,
Khloe.
"Yes,
Yeah.
I've gotten." She's like, "Nobody's actually interviewed me about like
and asked me if I've had a
anything."
nose job or something like that.
And she said, "Yes, I had a nose job." And she said the doctor, and we noted down the name for later. You know, if we need work.
I understand that their family has poured gasoline on this fire of body image issues and stuff like that, but I just can't help but feel for Khloe because she started the journey of the Kardashians insecure because, I mean, not insecure, but like after like started blowing up, she became more insecure. And now she's like kind of ending it a little bit more insecure, and you can see it. And like, listen, it ain't her job. She should not have to tell anybody anything she's ever fucking had done. It's not anybody's damn business unless she decides to tell somebody. But it is. I don't even know how to put it. She just seems different. She seems insecure. She seems like she is. I don't know. And have you seen the medication commercial for like migraines or whatever that she's had out? It keeps getting promoted on my damn Twitter, and I see it like every damn day. But it's like a migraine commercial, and she's on it, and her face is like noticeably different. And you just go into the comments, and it's just people ripping her apart, and I'm just like,
Well,
like
I mean-
in order, imagine going to the comments and seeing that over and over and over.
Well,
Like that's anything you ever post, any pictures you ever post, and it's always about your fucking looks. And then like, where do you land? Where does your self-esteem land after you've changed your appearance so many times to try to make yourself look good so people will leave you alone, maybe?
To fit what people want in their own narrative. And the thing is, like, you'll see her, she'll post a
Yeah.
picture, and then, like, it'll be all over Twitter saying this looks nothing like her, and which it doesn't. It really doesn't.
And like that's what I'm saying about the body image issues. They are doing that actively. That family is doing that.
And then she probably reacts to that and posts a different picture.
Well,
that
she came out with
is completely different from the other one, but also still doesn't look very much like her.
Did you see when she came out with the she came out with a whole post talking about, like, I've always been bullied for my looks and stuff like that, and like
I think it was
bullied
yeah.
and stuff. Yeah, so she came out with a big like letter, an open letter like that, but like didn't acknowledge the impact that her family and their pushing of image had on society, and like that also deserves some recognition. Like her trauma inflicted by society deserves recognition, but also her playing into that same world also deserves recognition. It's not just one or the other kind of thing, because I don't know. And so,
speaking of, Kim's waist was so cinched she could not bend.
she looked sewn into that damn dress.
She looked great, but it was.
If another thing, another thing I was never insecure about is I kind of slumped forward a little bit. And I never had that insecurity until I met him. We went dancing one time, and he told me, he's like, "Why you always like this?" And it made me like super insecure because I never realized it. But if I can get myself into a Vivienne Westwood dress and sew myself,
I've never said that ever again.
Okay.
Since then,
don't deny it. It's okay. But my joke was that if you could sell me into a Vivienne Westwood dress, just like Kim Kardashian, I would, my posture would be perfect forever, because her posture was she is straight up.
Your posture's much better than it used to be.
I'm working on it, trying to get there. But I mean, we all also like
have our little insecurities.
We all have our insecurities, and we all kind of play into body. That was created somewhere. Body image issues were created somewhere, and then we all kind of play into it by allowing it to sort of be a thing. So whenever I talk about in videos trying to lose weight or trying to work on my body, and so you're yawning, trying to work on my body or something. That's
morning.
Well, no, I mean, that's playing into it. That's playing into body image issues and saying that, when I acknowledge that I do try to attain a body that is more acceptable in the gay community, well, that's me also pouring gasoline on a fire instead of trying to extinguish a fire,
I don't know. I kind of take Khloe's old saying to her, like what she used to do is in terms of just being comfortable with yourself, and that's what I strive to do with how I feel about myself and how I look. Is I want foremost to be comfortable and to be doing it for myself, because we had this conversation, because before we would talk a lot about how we really wanted to look good for the other person in the relationship, right? Which I don't think is discounted.
I don't think that's. I think especially if you're married, my looks are for you, so I want to look good for you.
I think first and foremost, you need to look good for yourself.
Yeah.
You need to be healthy in a good way for yourself, however that might look. However that might be.
Yeah.
Is to be in a good place with yourself. So I need to be in a good place for myself firstly before I do anything
I can
else.
always tell when you're not feeling the best. I think recently you've been having a kind of renaissance of your self-esteem, and it's kind of going up a little bit now that you're seeing that you're getting more muscle, and people have been pointing out your muscle and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I can tell you're dressing because it's the way you dress, right? So I can see when you're a little bit more confident, you'll dress a little bit better, and when you're not, you're wearing a 2XL shirt and really baggy sweatpants and stuff like that. And anytime you're not dressing well, and it's day after day after day that you're dressing like this, I'm always go put a pair of pants on. I always force you to go put a pair of pants on, and that does pick up like your self-esteem. Like that's a little
Well,
trick that I've learned.
the thing I struggle with is that I came back from because we're talking about body image issues right now.
Yeah.
'Cause I came back from deployment like very skinny and very fit, and then I we never really stopped working out. Actually,
We didn't.
we worked out very heavy, but we ate like happily, I would say. And my muscles started.
They're bulging, baby.
I started like bulking up a lot.
Yeah.
I would say
you've hit a significant bulk.
I did. I would say muscle wise, but I also started gaining weight at the same time towards where like I'm very happy with where I am like muscle mass wise, but it's very like I'm really trying to balance like my muscle versus my fat and how I feel about things. Really, all I want to do is be able to put on clothes and be confident. And I think it's harder also when so I came back from deployment. I bought so much clothes. You know, we bought so many clothes. And
I think
like,
one of my birthday presents for you was I took you on a shopping spree, right?
Yeah.
And like you got a bunch of new clothes.
And I have a lot of clothes that I really like and I can't fit in, and I want to fit in, and it's been hard for me. And I think I need to find that balance between like being bulky, which I really enjoy, and eating maybe a little bit better so that I can fit into some of my old clothes.
I mean, not even just so fitting. Eating better is just good for you all the way around anyway. So it's like we got to find our good health spot. We'll do that. But it's just it's interesting that a family so like lifestyles of the rich and famous and like that have had such an imprint on society are still in some way relatable. You know, they can talk about these issues and stuff like that. I didn't expect to relate to anything they were saying in this reunion special, and I did, and I think that still says something, you know. And listen, if they didn't have a show at all, they didn't even go to Hulu again, we would still know who they are. You know, they're still gonna be all over social media and everything.
Dude, I'm just waiting for the Kim Kardashian Taylor Swift special.
We're waiting on it.
Yeah, we'll see what happens with that.
But yeah, I think this is a good place to start wrapping up, I guess.
Yes.
Yeah, this was a good little train of thought episode, I think.
You all have a very good week.
Have a happy
Pride.
Tuesday. Yeah.
Happy Tuesday. And live, laugh, love. I don't know.
About to say adios, gentle viewers. I saw it on your face. You're about to say
well, I just want everybody to, you know what? Start your day right.
Yeah.
Be happy. Be good. You're going to have obstacles today, but guess what? At the end of the day, you're going to get back into your bed and sleep.
Yes.
And it's going to be amazing.
At the end of every day is another tomorrow. And, you know, you go through hard times and something, you know, you're going to reach a better day. But guess what? You're also going to hit another bad day. Another bad couple weeks. Another bad, you know, little period of time. But as the pendulum swings, you're going to hit another good time. So just remember that.
That was slightly depressing. So let's focus on the
That's
good.
life. The ups and downs, the ebbs, the flows. Okay.
Yes. Okay. I think we babbled a little bit. So have a good one, and we will see you guys
tomorrow.
We will talk to you guys tomorrow. In case you're listening to us, and have a good one.
Bye.